Franklin Keeble from Grenville, South Dakota. I'm going to be here to tell you a little bit about my musical history, but first of all, I'm from Grenville, South Dakota, and my parents are Jonas Keeble and Estella Sherman Keeble. And in my growing up years, I always liked country western music. And my uncle, he owned a band called Keeble's Band, and the band members were Eli White and his son Lyle Keeble, Jim Keeble, and they had an old country western band. And so I like to talk a little bit about them, about how I got started in music. And as I was looking back through the years of music, in the winter of 1948, I used to go and listen to my uncle play country western band practice for dances that they have around the area. One evening he asked me if I liked to learn to play guitar. He had one sitting in the corner of the room, and then I told him, sure, I would be glad to. And he sent me home with a guitar, chord lessons, and how to tune it. So after I got my daily work chores done, I would go practice on the chords as time went on. He had me in their practice. The guys the guys would help me when they changed chords and with the songs. I was 14 years old at the time. And I guess by the age of 17, he had me playing rhythm and played at a lot of barn dances and dance halls. But in the fall of 1955, my uncle got sick and passed away. That was the end of the Keeble's Band. 1956, I went into the service. After the Army service, I played with some bands in the 60s, but let music go. I was interested in other things in life. But in 1980, I met Juanita Wise from Campbellsville, Kentucky. In 1981, we got married. Besides working at Tispazina and Family Life, we formed a band in 1980 called Prairie Winds Band, and the band members were Eldon Lawrence, lead guitar, Juanita, lead singer, Brad Anderson on the saxophone, and Emmett and Reddy on the drums. At the time there, Bain Wilson was a part of the organization during that time with the music, and he's the one that kind of supported the Prairie Wind, helped us name the band Prairie Winds. And he did a lot of advertising for us, and then he mentioned sobriety dances, and he was always concerned about these people that were using alcohol at the time, and he thought that was a good idea to go out and provide entertainment for them and watch them have a good time with sobriety dances. And that's how I got started. This is when I started playing bass guitar. During the late 80s and early 90s, we played in sobriety dances at the following towns: Aberdeen, Flandreau, Pierre, Sioux Falls, and Eagle Butte, South Dakota. Also neighboring states such as Nebraska and Santee, and North Dakota, including Fort Totten and Fargo. During this time, we also did gospel music and church activities and benefits. Prairie Winds Band was recognized for service in the community in 1994 with the special award presented by the Indian Health Service, providing entertainment for the Dakota Pride Treatment Center for clients that are in recovery. Also to mention that Don Backman came to some of the sobriety dances when Juanita was unable to sing. I also played bass for Don Backman. He formed a band called True Country. we were the backup singers that came on the stage at the Keeble Jamboree. Again, the band members were Eldon Lawrence, Alex Jordan, Harold Perro, and Leon Enabo, Jim Anderson, and myself. The band did a lot of instrumentals and songs I really enjoyed playing with. The guys, I learned a lot. Don gave me a lot of recognition for my bass playing, and Juanita his singing ability. Eldon Lawrence always said, "Frank, keep it simple and be yourself. You got a good style playing the bass. Sometimes I get loud and get carried away." And that was part of my story about my Prairie Winds band there, and then how I come to, I guess somebody mentioned that there's going to be somebody coming around and talk to you about, I guess, I don't know at the time, but they said it was something about a nomination for a country western Hall of Fame. This happened back in September 2014. I was at a musical tribute jamboree for Jim Anderson and Eldon Lawrence. During the music session, a lady came up to me and asked me if it's okay if she would question me about my musical history. And I asked if it's okay to be a nominee for the South Dakota Country Music Hall of Fame. So I said, yeah. April 2018, I got a call from the Lennox, South Dakota, that I had been nominated, and I was thinking about, at the time when that happened, I was thinking about Van Wilson, Smokey German, and Juanita. They would have been happy to hear about this. And I also want to mention that I'd like to thank God for my sobriety. And then I think a good part of it was Juanita that made it happen. I also like to mention that Elaine Landmark, Don Backman, and Keeble Jamboree Club helped me get me nominated. So that's the kind of the short story about my history of my musical entertainment. Thank you.
Craig, can you tell us about when the ceremony is happening?
Is it this weekend?
I'm done.
When are you inducted? This weekend?
I'll be inducted here in South Dakota State Fair Sunday, September 2nd at 6:30. There'll be about 9 other ones that'll be there to be nominated, inducted.